So hi, I'm Josh with the HubertCompany, and today I'm with Timothy Schoonmaker. So Timothy, if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. Thank you. I am the corporate director of nutrition services here at Centra Health. We are a 4-hospital healthcare system here in Central Virginia. I am responsible for everything food related. So all of our on-site operations, including vending, all of our off-site food service locations, our food truck, gardens, pretty much anything that we use for food. And then I also have a 20-bed hotel here on property that also falls under my scope.
Wow, that's a lot. So how long have you been with the company?
So I've been here at Centra for a little over 5 years now. However, I've been in healthcare food service for 22 years.
Okay. So one of the things I know that we've worked with you in the past is refreshing some of your cafes and things like that. Can you kind of like walk us through what that looked like and why were you looking to get the updates and what kind of pain points were you having at that time?
Sure. So here at our main facility, our cafe is just a little over 11 years old. And, some of our stations needed refreshing. We just had some basic decor and just some pots and pans and different items that we use that just weren't in the best of shape. So we went through and redid our menus. We looked at our formats and just really wanted to kind of make a very simple adjustment, while at the same time, there's no budget, so we don't have a whole lot of money to spend. So, while we really could have used a renovation, that just wasn't practical. So, for example, we took our salad bar as one of our items. So our salad bar is probably our second largest profit center in the cafe here at the main hospital, the grill being the busiest. And so we really wanted to be able to offer more, have a better variety, and just, people eat with their eyes. And so we wanted to be able to draw people to that. So we engaged the Hubert team. We took pictures, even though this was done in a time where, very easily we could have met in person and had meetings. That just wasn't something we needed to do. So we took pictures, measurements, we had calls, and just sent everything to the Hubert team, and they threw us back 5 or 6 different design ideas, along with just different containers, different ways of doing things, merchandising, decorations, and we were able to really walk through and just pick a few items and put it together. And then, when all was said and done and we implemented everything, the amount of compliments and even the traffic for the salad bar, it increased. Just because, again, people see it, it's new, it looks nice. And really all we did was just re-merchandise and put some new items out there. So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, did you feel that was successful, that the refresh was successful?
It was, absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. So had you worked with other vendors in the past? Like where did Hubert come into play through all of this?
Yeah, so in my career, I've worked with many vendors. Here at Centra, we really don't use a lot of different vendors. We try to stick with the ones that are good partners, that, a partnership goes both ways. You have to be equally yoked, and you have to have kind of the same mindset. And so Hubert's been in place here before I started. I have worked with them in my past. And so it's just a great fit for us here. And it helps when they know your business and they know how to give ideas and use some leading practice. And that's pretty much what we did. So when you have somebody that's on the same page with you, it's pretty easy to make things work and be successful.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned a little bit about that we had taken pictures and back and forth, and sometimes we're in person with you guys. Can you kind of walk through what that was like to work with Hubert?
Yeah, so I have a dedicated person that is a healthcare specialist that I worked with, and actually that makes it so much easier because they know your business. They know what you're dealing with. They know your budgets. They know what works best. And they can make some really good, quick decisions based on what you send them. So the other part is that they understand our working hours are not traditional. We don't work 8 to 4. We're in a 24/7 business. And so some of our calls were, 7 or 8 o'clock at night, or early in the morning, or I'll be honest, sometimes it was weekends, just because, you start with an email trying to catch up, and it leads to a phone call because they're doing the same thing. So the specialists know the business. They know what works, and they can make great recommendations. Hubert has a very large variety of vendors that they use. So you can pretty much, if you just talk through it and say what you want, they can get it for you.
Awesome. So when working through us with that stuff, what stood out the most in your mind with these projects?
Honestly, it was just the ease of being able to put the project together, have that line item in terms of what we were getting, what it cost, and then just the complete follow through. If we had any questions or if we weren't sure of how something fit. Because, for example, sometimes you put orders together, and when they show up, you look at them and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? So, you might have to make that phone call and say, hey, remind me what this was for, or why did I get 8 of these and 10 of these? And so we go back and look at the layout, and they're very patient with us and able to talk us through it and say, hey, remember, you have tomatoes in that spot, you have cucumbers in that spot. And remember you talked about these bulk items, that's where we're going to put them. So it's good to work with people that have your back.
Earlier, you had mentioned some of the pain points of not really having a budget, and people want to eat with their eyes, right? They what they want to see, and you guys had a lot of old stuff. Can you describe how these refreshes kind of helped solve those issues?
Yeah, so we didn't just do the salad bar; we did our hot entree line. So we invested in these nice hot well insets and nice display pans, so the food can be displayed and just it looks a lot better versus, if you just take a regular hotel pan and put food in it versus having a nice above the steam well pan with a nice light above it, and shingle it or display it, garnish it, whatever you want to do with it. It really makes a difference. And so you can just, it attracts you to go to that area. Even the sign holders. When you go to one consistent signage and have it everywhere, it really makes a difference. It transforms that area without having to physically, do any construction. So, we literally went station by station and reinvented the way our lines look. So when you walked into the cafe, it looked like a new cafe.
Wow. Do you have any metrics on any of that from like before and after?
So yeah, we actually, up until the C word hit us, we were up about 20% in business. Things were going really well. We made these changes, and we brought, we just had a lot of people on property. We had a lot of people that might have been bringing their lunch that now came to us to get something, or maybe from the surrounding buildings they were coming in. Our customer counts went up, check average went up, and our sales went up, and we were up about 20%. Okay.
So kind of lastly, we're just going to kind of start wrapping up a little bit, but I would like you to rate Hubert on terms of like 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the best. If you could just kind of rate our customer service.
Yeah, I mean, the customer service is a 5, hands down. Anytime I need something, call, text, and it goes both ways. Customer service is on my end as well, because I have to be able to be a good partner. And so sometimes we turn that question around and say, how would you rate us? Because, we have to work together, but, for sure, it's a 5.
Okay. What about, what about service quality?
Yeah, I mean, service quality, definitely a 5. There's been a couple of times where we've had a couple of issues, but it's a phone call and they make it right. And usually it's just something's not handled correctly or, inadvertently gets left out. But humans make mistakes, and it's all about making it right. So there's your 5.
Yeah. And then last one is the likelihood that you would work with Hubert again.
Oh yeah, for sure it would be a 5. Definitely work with Hubert again.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Timothy, for your time. Glad that you could come on here and talk to us.
Thank you.